Hello everyone, this is Grumpy Elite, and you're listening to Grumpy Interviews. Today I'm going to be talking with another popular director, StarFall Studios. He has made the well-popular Shift Machinima, which has about 40,000 views at the time of this video, and is currently working on the sequel to Shift, as well as another series called Remnants. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to StarFall Studios. Hey Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, so to start off this interview, how about you tell us a bit about yourself?
As you know, my name is Mateo Arts. I run a channel called StarFall Studios, and I make Halo Machinima amongst a few other things, but that's probably what I'm most notable for.
Alright, to start off the interview, could you tell us a bit where did you start off in making Machinima?
I started off making Machinima in 2010 with a video camera which was set on a stack of boxes and pointed at my TV screen. And I just filmed it, and it had like these awful lines and whatnot, and obviously it was horrible, but I didn't know much about capture cards. All I knew was that I wanted to make stuff. I wanted to tell stories for people, and obviously as time continued on, I got better and better, and I improved, and I often use that first video as an example to other people of how far you can come as long as you apply yourself properly and listen to advice.
So, Shift is a Halo 5 machinima, which has garnered about over 40,000 views, and it's a very popular machinima. If you look up Halo Machinima, it will show up on the top search page, and it's very popular not among also machinima goers, but also outside of machinima. Could you tell us a bit about Shift for anyone who has not seen it already?
Shift started out as a concept back in the Halo Reach days. The original concept and draft, I believe, was a man and an elite, and they were effectively the same person, or at least the same personality or soul, whatever you want to call it, and each one was in an impending danger, and so it would consistently switch from one to the other, and he would have all the memories and personality of each respective individual that his soul was occupying at the moment, but he could never tell which one was the correct perspective or what was going on. And it was all due to some trickster AI that had put him in this situation to monitor him for certain anomalous behaviors and to see how he reacted and whatnot. And it wasn't a super highly developed concept, but I obviously kept a few of the better ideas from that concept, like the AI, the trickster AI ended up becoming Lucy, who was much more beneficial. She was at first, it was going to be a male, and it was an antagonist rather than one of the protagonists, but I'm very happy with where Lucy ended up, and I obviously kept the reality shifting, but the word shift originally just meant from one person to the other, and now it's entire realities. Um, I'm very happy with where development of that went, but I think the biggest thing that stood out for me was that back when I first thought about it, which was like in 2012, 2013 maybe, I never got around to making it, but I always thought about it and the name and the ideas behind it, and I always wanted it to be this machinima that got popular and that people could look up to and say, wow, that was great. People are going to look back on this and love it. And obviously it's not nearly as big as some of the golden age machinimas, but I'm happy that the final product of Shift did get rather large with near 50K views, and I do hope that it becomes one of those videos that people look back on and cherish, at least as one of the latter tail end machinimas that was really, really good.
So with the popularity that Shift has gotten, it's garnered a sequel called Shift 2. Could you tell us a bit about what the sequel will be about?
Shift 2 follows Miller, Lucy, and the new protagonist, Shepard, as they try to stop this group of individuals known as antigens. They're other reality jumpers and shifters who effectively are terrorists, from stopping them from finding something that they're searching for. It's going to answer a few questions that was left by the first shift. It's going to build on the world a bit more, and the conflict in general is on a much larger scale than the first shift ever was. I truly do hope that people are going to enjoy it as much as the first one was, and I hope to save most of the surprises for the actual publication of the final cut.
So besides Shift, you've also worked on, like, not as much as popular, but it's still a very popular series called Remnants, which has about a few thousand views for each episode. Can you tell us a bit about that and what's the direction it's going for? Is it like, are you going to be working it after you finish Shift, or what's going to be going off that series?
Remnants is a series that it's actually kind of funny how I created it. I basically just thought of the word remnants one day, and I was like, huh, I think I can make a machinima based around just that title. And then I ended up doing it, and now it's one of my favorite concepts. It's about this man named Clark who was sent 23 years into an apocalyptic future due to a research experiment gone wrong with his friend Benjamin. And so eventually he finds Benjamin in this future, who has now become one of the de facto heads of this resistance group called the Remnants, who fight against the New World Order. The New World Order is run by this person called the Warden, and he basically runs everything with a cruel fist, and in order to combat the biological contaminant that has kind of spread amongst the population, he came up with this idea called the mesh. And so these are inorganic people who were once completely normal people, but now they don't have feelings, they don't have their old memories, they don't have personalities, they're just mindless servants. And they're immune to infection, and they're basically at his disposal. So the whole point of Remnants is trying to take back this machine, another time machine, which has been confiscated by the Warden, so that way they can send Clark back to the past and stop everything from ever even happening. But there might be a few twists and turns in there that people won't be expecting.
Now, recently you also released a teaser for Machinima called Seraph. Can you tell us a little bit about that one too?
Man, you're really asking me a lot about my projects here. Yeah, sure. So Seraph was originally an idea about a year ago, which was going to be a solve the mystery set of videos with like annotations and hidden videos and unlisted stuff, and it's still going to have that side of it, but it's gone a bit further with that. So now Seraph is set in a semi-dystopian world in which AI and humanity clashed very, very violently quite a few years ago. And so it's left a lot of old wounds and scars that people haven't really let heal yet. And so there's a lot of resentment that goes towards the idea of AIs, and AIs have it right back at humans. And so Seraph is kind of about this one individual who could possibly bridge the gap and extend an olive branch, so to speak, and stop this conflict from happening. But certain people don't want that, and certain people may be after this individual in order to terminate them and stop them from basically ensuring peace for reasons that will be disclosed later.
What do you enjoy in watching a Machinima?
Way back when, in the golden age of Machinima, like with Halo 3 and shit like that, nobody cared about voice actors. I sure didn't care about voice actors. It wasn't always about like the top-notch visual effects. Like, I remember this series I enjoyed heavily called The Rookie. No, it wasn't The Rookie. It was called The Recruit, and it was by this guy Yakvid the Brave. And like one of the things was this automated sentry turret that was supposed to kill people, and it was just someone holding a Spartan laser, and so they'd show the laser shoot somebody, and like I didn't care about that. Nowadays, it's a bit tougher because I put a lot of work into my own videos. I like to hold other people's stuff to at least what I do, and I know that I'm not the best, which is why like I'm very happy when I see somebody who goes above what I do. So I think what I enjoy in a machinima most is a rich and enthralling story, honestly. Visuals can be hit or miss. Even if it's the prettiest thing in the world, I won't care about it unless it's got a story that I genuinely like. Because let's be honest, when it comes to layering and lens flares and RSMB and chromatic aberration and all that jazz, yeah, it looks good, but when everybody's doing it, nobody's stuff is unique anymore. So the VFX don't make people's stuff stand out anymore. Instead, it's just set a standard where people who don't do it are objectively worse. But people who do it aren't better, if that makes any sense. So story is probably the #1 thing that I look out for right now. Because that's going to be the thing that sets apart people's machinimas right now and their films to come. It's not going to be the VFX where everyone's on the same level. It's going to be how good is the writing, how great were the characters, how was the development of the plot, the conflict, did I care about this at all? So it's definitely a story is the most important part of a machinima for me.
So each machinima director has their own style, whether it be how they do their own cinematography, how they edit videos, how they do sound design, write dialogue. Could you tell us, like, what makes your style unique? Could you tell us a bit about what you do?
As far as cinematography goes, I don't generally have a set style. I don't think. I'm not like Wes Anderson where each one of my movies looks relatively similar or the same in the way that it's shot or anything. I go for angles and camera shots that look good in context with what I'm working with. So I wouldn't want to be limited in that regard. If there's one thing that I'm known for when it comes to my style, it's that I am not a big fan of layering, as you may have already heard when I went on a rant about it a little bit ago. I think that layering is definitely something that can enhance the visual appeal of your machinima to a degree, but I think that making it something that people consider almost mandatory now when making a machinima was a big mistake, because now nobody can tell the difference between anyone's machinima. You can show one layered shot to another layered shot, and it could be anyone from Match Productions, High Tide Films, Connor from Infinite Light, Steven or Infinite Media, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because it's all the same exact thing. It's just one Spartan against a blue or green screen, and it's chroma keyed out with a blurred background. It's all the same. It doesn't look unique. And layering should be used more to help with shots that are difficult to shoot by themselves. I just had a layered shot in my most recent Seraph teaser. I had a few layered shots, but I didn't do it because I wanted it to be layered from the get-go. I did it because the lighting in Halo 5 was fucking up the Spartan. So I went with a green screen where it was somewhere darker and he would match the lighting better, and I layered it that way because it was something that was necessary. But making it something where even if it's totally unnecessary to layer and you want people to layer anyway, it's just taking away from the visual individuality of other people's projects, and I don't think that that's a good thing in the long run. I think that machinimas are going to get rather stale when it comes to VFX in the future due to this whole mindset of absolutely needing everything to be layered rather than just letting things be natural every once in a while.
What is your favorite genre to work with and to watch?
Probably drama or horror is what I like to watch, just because there's so many different things that you can do with it, and that's what I used to write a lot too. But as far as what I make, I guess it's I like making thought-provoking stuff. I don't like the general like shoot 'em up action Spartans versus elites. I've made one or two of those machinimas myself, but like I what I genuinely enjoy is when I make a film and it causes somebody to go, "Whoa," or "Wait, what?" But not "Wait, what?" in the kind of like "What the fuck just happened?" but more "Wait, what?" Like I know there's a difference between stupid "Wait, what?" like you watch Signs and you're like, wait, so the aliens came to a planet with water, which is like the one thing they can't touch? And then there's like, wait, what? With like Sixth Sense, where, whoa, Bruce Willis was dead the whole time? Spoiler alert for any of you troglodytes that haven't watched Sixth Sense. Um, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I like to make and watch.
What is your process for making a machinima?
See, the process that it should be, and that I even advise other people to do, is script something, make the script, follow up with some concepts and some shots that you think might be cool. Then once you've got everything in order, shoot and edit the thing. Um, the way I usually do it is I make a I make a teaser or a trailer or something when like the script is like the third done or like halfway done, but it's okay because like I know where it's gonna go, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll finish. I'll usually incorporate. I'm gonna pop my knuckles real quick. Yeah, that's right. You guys get to sit and listen to 20 seconds of Matt popping his knuckles where the microphone might not even pick it up. Ah, there we go. But then, yeah, so after the teasers and stuff, I go and I finish the script, and then I shoot and edit the thing, and that's basically my setup process for it, is concept shots, then finish scripting, then shoot and edit.
Is there anything you try to look for when making machinima?
Errors. Errors. When I look for making a machinima, I have faith in myself that the shots that I've got and I'm happy with are good shots. If there's something that I don't like, I won't use it. I'll go ahead and I'll reshoot it if necessary. But if there's something that's in my machinima, it's because either I'm totally happy with it, or I looked at it and I thought about reshooting it and I was like, nah, not worth the effort. Because it's like 90% of the viewer base don't notice errors like that. You could have disappearing bodies in a shot, and most people won't notice it. Most people. Now, that's not to say keep disappearing bodies in your shot, because absolutely do not keep disappearing bodies in your shots. It's just a matter of how much the audience catches and whatnot. But what I look for are usually errors, like visual flickering, audio, like jumps and redlining and cracking, that kind of stuff. I had to completely re-upload something once because I noticed that the chromatic aberration and the RSMB that I added in there were conflicting with each other and causing this weird flickering on a lot of shots. So I just took out the chromatic aberration and it worked like a charm after that. So mostly just errors is what I look for when I'm making the machinima.
Who inspired you to get into making machinima?
Biggest inspiration, probably, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's a real tough one. I don't know. I can name a few people who inspired me. RB and the Chief with John CJG, Red versus Blue with Rooster Teeth. I mean, there's a ton of people who inspire you for that kind of stuff. Some lesser known ones. These were like when I was already making machinima, but like they still inspired me to like keep going just because they were so fun to watch. Would be Jack Walter's Superhero by Smarty, fucking The Recruit by Yakvid the Brave. Trying to think of a few others right now. Super Blip, who later on became Lydianol or Lydian Lol, Lydian Dole, whatever his username is now. But Super Blip was what he originally went by, and he was the guy who made like Halo Reach machinimas. Like this has been, what was it? Was it Tips with Tips? It was it was some kind of like advice kind of machinima series that was kind of comedic, and then somebody hacked his account and like changed all the titles to like racist stuff, and it was a really big thing. And then he ended up having to change his account, and after he changed his account and made a new one, that was when he started making stuff like The Spectator and Destiny versus Halo, that kind of stuff. So definitely was one of the people I looked up to, at least as far as making machinimas goes.
Now this comes a bit of a personal question, but why do you make machinima? What is your driving force to making machinima?
Because I enjoy it. People have asked me this before, especially Steven, Digital Virus, for those who don't know. who consistently has said before in the past, Machinima's dead. It's like, why bother making the effort? Because I enjoy it, you fuck. Because I like making Machinima. Because I don't have a budget to work on live action stuff. Because I am able to make films and stories and bring stuff to life in Machinima that I wouldn't otherwise be able to. I genuinely enjoy making Machinima, or at least uploading it. I don't think anyone enjoys body acting or having to deal with all those constant go back in theaters and capture the stuff, but as far as the actual process goes and telling a story, yeah, I love it. I like doing it, so that's why I do it. I don't do it for any other reason than that.
In your experience, what has been the biggest drawback? What has been the biggest stick in the road in making a Machinima?
Probably trying to get the word out and acquire more views and spread and grow. Basically on all sides, just because Machinima amongst people you know is generally not really well understood and kind of looked down upon in the real world, unless it's someone who actually does film, ironically. Then they're like, oh no, it's just a different form of video making, and you know, I see your color grading, blah 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 blah, and they're generally appreciative of it. Had a film teacher back in high school who absolutely loved it. I would turn in film projects for him all the time via Machinima, and he couldn't wait to see the next one. But also trying to grow as a channel, especially with YouTube's like new algorithms and the way that they do things, like the notification bell now, and not notifying subscribers when you upload unless they've got it clicked. Excuse me. It's definitely a hassle for new and upcoming directors to try and make themselves known in this day and age. It's just far more difficult than it used to be.
Anything you look for in particular when it comes to making Machinima?
Watching people's reactions to it, hands down. I love watching people see something that I'm proud of and that I've made, and hearing them actually enjoy themselves. Of course, if you have the negative reaction, then, you know, it's not nearly as enjoyable. But generally, I love watching it with people when they can finally see the fruition of my work, and watching as they actually get interested in the story and the plot and become invested emotionally and mentally with the story that you've told. I love seeing people's reactions to when I'm done making it.
So since you're a Machinima director, it also, like, there's an unspoken rule of being a Machinima director that you have to be part of the Machinima community. Has there anything that has happened to you lately, or at least you've been experienced in the Machinima community lately?
There's a lot of drama that we could talk about. We could talk about Machinima Evolved versus Machinima Union. We could talk about some of my own hijinks in the Machinima community at points. I think all of us at one point or another have been involved in the drama or have started drama of some kind. I don't think there's any need to bring it up here. He who lives in a glass house shouldn't throw stones, right? So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go into this one too much. The community is it's a very vague term. It could refer to a few different things, so I'll go ahead and I'll try to explain it. My thoughts on the community that I currently talk to and like interact with on a near daily basis. We're all pretty good. We're all fairly skilled at what we do. I think that we're a strong set of directors. Obviously, we're not as big as the people of the Golden Age just because it's been too many years, and Halo and Machinima in general just aren't what's making money on YouTube anymore. So I think that we're doing well for our current situation. As far as community encompassing everyone who just makes Machinima, it's practically dead, but not in a good way, because there are plenty of people who are making Machinimas and like 4 to 5 minute videos and stuff, but it's just garbage. Everyone and their mother nowadays has a capture card and 1080p HD capacity at their disposal, and like iMovie or Windows Movie Maker or something along those lines, and they just make the worst stuff. But it's so easy for them to do it nowadays without, it's like back like a few years ago, if you wanted to make this stuff, you had to be invested, you had to be dedicated. If you were gonna like do stuff video editors weren't widely available, at least not good ones. So if you were going to make something and you were going to spend some money on it, you had to make sure that you knew what you were doing when it came to story, you knew what you were doing when it came to visuals, with filming, with all that jazz. Nowadays, it's so cheap and easy for people to like pick up just something to film and throw it on YouTube and call it a machinima without any thought towards an actual story or development or anything. And so 90% of what gets uploaded nowadays is just trash. So I think the community as a whole is just pretty dead, and it's going to continue dying until there's pretty much no one around. That being said, I don't see why that should mean that any of us should have to stop sooner. I mean, if we still enjoy it, even if it's pretty much a dead art form, why stop?
How about any future projects you have planned?
Man, oh man, do I have some future projects soon. Let me see. Seraph. I at one point I think I want to go back to Heroes of Reach, maybe just finish it off because I don't like leaving projects unfinished. I've got Wendigo, I've got something that I might do, Containment, I've got to finish Remnants, there's Extinction Contingency, Omega Team, etc., etc. There's a lot of stuff. Shift 3. Just kidding! I'm just kidding! I'm just kidding! Please, for the love of God, I swear. Stop. Just, no. Please. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I did. Shift 2 did start off as a joke, didn't it? And it started off as a joke and viral. Shut up! I'm not being convinced to make Shift 3 in a stupid interview. Go away.
Have you seen any recent machinimas you liked or any directors that have caught your eye?
Yes. Silence by Bullet Rebel. I thought the story was a bit complex, maybe is the term to describe it. The story was so jarring and very, very weird to try and understand as far as it was going, but for once it didn't really bug me. The way that it was shot, the color grading, the VFX, and then especially with the way that the character moved throughout the environment because of the way that Forge was handled and whatnot, I thought it was awesome. And you know what I think was one of the biggest pros towards it? It wasn't just one dude layered against a background over and over and over. There was real, genuine effort put into it that people did. It was this one guy moving through an environment. All of the pieces were moved via scripting and Forge and all that jazz, and the effects were great for what like a standalone and like it was like medium length project for what it was. I loved watching it, so I would highly advise that you check it out if you're looking for something that's probably gonna like mind fuck you, and you also just want to see something that looks very pretty. I would highly advise Silence by Bullet Rebel.
What do you think of the current Halo games, especially Halo 5, as a game and as well as a machinima engine?
Halo 5 is trash. Halo 5 Theater is trash, which is a shame because Halo 5 is, in all honesty, like the art style is crap, but like the textures and the actual quality itself with like all that 1080p and whatnot, it's beautiful looking. The environments and skyboxes are great. It's so easy to make something in Halo 5 look good, but the art style itself is crap. But I guess depending on what machinima you're going for, the art style itself doesn't really matter. I would love like a Halo 3 art style with the visual peak that Halo 5 has reached. And Halo 5 also has Forge, which is great for making set pieces and whatnot. We've got some of the most complex and realistic stuff in machinima that we've had ever, and it's such a shame that Halo 5 itself is such a crap game, and that theater is so broken that we can't really truly enjoy it. I have Shift 2 delayed right now because I'm going through rewrites, but 2, I also can't shoot any scenes at the moment because my bookmark files that I like have saved for recording, they're not showing up anymore. Like the theater breaks like every few months, and even when it's working, it doesn't ever work. And this also has partly because they made everything all online. So because it's all online, like certain things within the server don't line up with the way that you see them in game, and so people's angles will be off and their heads will be looking different ways, and it's really saddening, in all honesty, that such a visually pleasing um, game, aside from the art style, is so poor for making machinima. My favorite engine to work with has been Halo Reach, and I think that's a lot of people's favorite engine to work with, just because that was the last Bungie game, and they just kept adding stuff. And so with Halo Reach, you had forge blocks, which, like, they may not have been as textured as the ones that we've got now, but you were still able to build shit like skyscrapers and foreigner facilities and all that jazz with it. So making machinima was a lot easier. The art style itself was gritty. We still had elites. So there was a lot of variety there. We had everything from comedy to drama to action to horror. Halo Reach was just great for so many different things. And Halo 4 came, and honestly, the theater mode itself wasn't bad, but there was the whole lowering weapons debacle and weapons disappearing, which made like it a bit harder to shoot at times. And once again, like, the art style just wasn't very pretty to look at, and it took away elites, which limited us a lot. So yeah, this just Halo 4 and 5 definitely detracted a lot from the original experience that making a machinima in Halo was. A proper working theater, probably. Um, no, seriously. Halo 5 did some great things when it came to Forge and certain controls like machinima controls. Honestly, they added most of, like, everything, but it's in such a broken state right now that it's difficult to make stuff. So in all honesty, Halo 6 or whatever comes along, all I want is the old art style, and pretty much like the old theater mode back. Just about everything else can stay for the most part, because it's pretty much where it's at. I mean, like, AI, I guess, could be an addition to help with, like, bodies and body actors and whatnot, but it's like you can get around those with split screen and whatnot. So I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I want added to theater. I think Halo Reach was just a pretty good pinnacle at that point, and I just want it back to where it was at Reach is all. It's nothing new. It's just I want something that was better than what we've got now, and it already exists.
So we're near the end of this video, and I like to finish this off on a high note. What advice would you give for any beginning or aspiring director who's starting off making and they want to get into making machinima? What would you say to them?
Um, don't come into the game thinking that you're gonna get popular and that everyone's gonna love your films and that 100% you're just going to become this big shot, because that's simply not the case nowadays. If you're here to enjoy yourself and make film, by all means come in. But this isn't a place anymore where people get super popular. This is more of a we're more of an internal community now, sharing things amongst ourselves rather than for the general population, because not a lot of people appreciate it anymore. When it comes to making the actual films, in all honesty, remember this. Something can be the prettiest thing in the world, but be absolute garbage because the story sucks. And something can have a great story, but just not interest people because the visuals are crap. It's not one or the other, and I think a lot of people like to forget that in this day and age, and because they're bad at one or the other, somebody's really good at VFX, but they're awful at a story, and it's like, as long as it's pretty, nobody cares. Steven! And then some people think that just because they've got a good story, that's all that, like, people care about, and that VFX aren't necessary around. Sammy Flanagan. Man, I've got a cough right now, don't I? But these certain individuals are on the extreme ends of either side, where they think it's one or the other, when in reality it's a balance of both. And if you don't have one or the other, it's a good chance that your ship is going to sink.
All right, that was pretty good. Thank you, Matt, for coming. So this has been Mateo Arts of StarFall Studios. If you'd like to see Shift or Remnants or any other machinimas he's done before, the link to his channel will be in the description, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll continue to watching more interviews as they come along. Thank you, Matt, for coming along.
It was a pleasure.